Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gears Pro League Split 4, day number 1. I'm Taylor Reflections Double, joined by Toby Campbell. We're back. Final series, eUnited versus Team Queso. We've seen some great moments all night tonight. This series is going to be, nothing less than that.
I'd hope so. I'd hope so. We've had, as you said, 2 great series. Thoroughly enjoyed them from start to finish. And I'm happy to see United again coming back from that very difficult major final. Let's admit it was a very grueling loss to sustain from Rise, but a thoroughly impressive major performance overall. Right, sure. We got the pleasure, of course, of being able to cast over them, play against KCP, and what an amazing victory it was. What an enjoyable cast it had been. And it was because of how well these 4 players in front of us played in that scenario. Powerz, TJForce, Demise, and Dyslexic all coming into their own, Taylor. They were simply phenomenal. And I'm hoping now, after that really awesome split overall, that they can really culminate into their best split yet here. The final one where they can live up to their potential.
They really need to live up to their potential, because this is the thing. 2 second places. The reality is for eUnited, they're not going to settle with that. They want to be on top at the end of the summer major, and this roster could very well do that. We have seen how spectacular they can be, and we've also seen an evolution with this roster from in Split 2, where they were first created. Noble broke up, Dyslexic came here to eUnited. Their slaying power was incredible, but then KCP got the better of them during grand finals because they were just too over-aggressive. They didn't have good teamwork. So they developed their teamwork throughout Split 3, and they got much better, but they still need something else to get over that hump to become champions. Now, for Team Queso on the other end, another great roster of SuMuNs, Cristalize, Sleeafer, and Problems. And mind you, SuMuNs, a new addition here, replacing Jolid. And to be honest with you, Jolid is a fantastic player. We saw what he did in addition to him on Fury 1. So SuMuNs, in a way, even despite his lineage, has some big shoes to fill. But I think SuMuNs is going to be just fine. What does he bring to this roster?
First of all, it's the combination of experience, but also just the playing at the top level, formerly of Optic Gaming, of course. He's such a storied player, and he's kind of gone off a little bit more off the radar, I guess you want to say, compared to those days of old, where he was at the top of, of gameplay and Gears Esports, dominating with Optic. But he's no slouch, and he's still a very, very good player. And now, when you stack him alongside his teammates, and it's nothing against Jolid, it certainly isn't, but when you just look at those gamer tags as a 4, to me, Taylor, I'm not sure if this kind of resonates with you, but it seems like they're much more of a dominant, strong team that on paper could be lined up alongside PK and perhaps Rebel now, as well as a top potential roster that can truly do amazing things at the top of Gears Esports. Team Queso for a while have been kind of a middle of the pack team who have done really well, and at times in majors and stuff. But they've never really been, in PK's position. But now I think they can potentially, with that, kind of addition of SuMuNs, when you put it all together, Problem, Sleeafer, etc. I think there's so much potential here, just like eUnited, but for different reasons.
Yeah, very well. It could be. Team Queso has always been a roster that's scary, who could take teams to the distance. That was with Jolid. Of course, we'll see how they play with SuMuNs. I'm sure they'll be just fine. Maybe a bit of an adjustment period, which isn't going to be easy against eUnited, who has stayed together now for 2 splits in a row, and again, have been going through evolutions and developing. But for Team Queso, for this first series on Split 4, they put up a good performance. Yeah, that narrative could absolutely be there. They could join the ranks of Pittsburgh Knights, Rise, and some of the upper echelon rosters, but it really depends on how this series goes for them. And speaking of how the series goes, let's first take a look at our bans. What maps the rosters didn't want to play? District, Reactor, Tomb, Canals, and Harbor. And for Canals, yeah, I do get that. You don't want to play against a team of eUnited on that very map. And you got Powerz who can snipe, but then again, you also have really just a plethora of front spawns that can take you down a mid-bridge. So that's out of the way. What else stands out to you?
Reactor immediately. Team Queso have loved that map at Majors for the longest time. eUnited quickly banning that one. No surprise there. And I think the rest of them are fairly predictable in that sense. But Reactor, very good ban from eUnited. And clearly, as you just mentioned, Team Queso, great ban with Canals.
Let's take a look at the maps we're actually going to have. So Ritual, interesting that Team Queso picked. Yeah, because eUnited, they love that map, all right? Ephyra, another great map for eUnited. It's why they pick it. And then Training Grounds, you know, a good map for eUnited. Speyer. Speyer's a decent map for eUnited. It's not the best map, but it's a decent map. And then Checkout, okay, that's where Team Queso might come alive. But I mean, they're not coming alive until map 5, as far as I'm concerned.
They aren't coming alive on map number 1. I'll tell you that for sure. I don't see why Team Queso have picked Ritual. The last time we casted over eUnited, what was their first map against KCP? Ritual. They were unbelievable on the map, and they continue to be into this split. So I do not comprehend that pick. I'm assuming they know something that I don't in the Team Queso camp. Lovely for Ephyra as well. eUnited coming back to that mainstay. Of course, back with that major performance last time. Incredible on that map with eUnited. I see this going straight to a 2-0 situation for Team Queso. And then I would not doubt eUnited on the escalation either in general. So on picks and bans alone, it's looking quite good for eUnited, I have to admit.
Looking fantastic. I think eUnited definitely got the better end of the bargain. Whether they did their homework, well, clearly they did, because what map did they ban out for Team Queso? And you said they always pick it as Reactor.
Reactor, yes, yeah.
So clearly they did their homework. They know what they're working with. You know, that's not going to change just because SuMuNs now joins onto the roster. Team Queso still wants to play on Reactor. So hey, fair enough. I think this is a pretty clear cut. Let's move to predictions. All right, I think this is a pretty clear cut win. For eUnited, Toby, I'm going to be real with you. I think EU's going to get this. I mean, EU's second place, 2 majors in a row. They're still one of the best teams. I mean, literally one of 2 best teams out there, only bested by KCP and now obviously Rise. So I think eUnited is still a force to be reckoned with no matter who they're playing against. And for Team Queso, they're going to have a tough time, especially after seeing the 5 maps. That pretty much solidifies it to me. What about you?
Yeah, to keep it brief, even before the maps, I was going all in on eUnited. I was so impressed with them in their performance in the major. And I fully expect them to continue that on into this split, as you agree with me on that too, on that sentiment. And just the maps alone, I'm baffled that Team Queso picked Ritual. I'd be baffled if they didn't ban it first. Yeah, they picked it. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to try and understand that. If anyone in Twitch chat knows, please do let us know. But from my point of view, I just don't see how that came through. And the remainder of maps really lend themselves to eUnited too. Even Training Grounds eUnited were incredible on in terms of their collection of escalation maps in the major. Vasgar stands out first, but TG, they were excellent on too. Of course, until the grand final where Rise did a really good performance on that very final map. But yeah, curious to see what Twitch chat have for us, actually.
Probably eUnited. I would say eUnited. We'll see if Team Cheese. And I want to make this clear. If Team Queso's out there, social media manager, like, I love you guys on social. You're always the most positive organization. So I do love TQ as an org. Whereas eUnited is very mean to me, typically in the chat. So fair enough, you know. But I'm still gonna back up eUnited. Team Queso, you still win my heart. But you're not taking my brain today. eUnited 3 across the board. So Team Queso, it's up to you to prove us wrong. Let's see if you do it. Toby, you managed to say, at least, that, you know, Team Queso could absolutely join the likes of PK and, you know, the upper echelon teams, which is true. But again, this series is going to show whether or not they really can be there. And despite the maps not going their way necessarily, they might know something we don't know. I mean, they do have a new edition of SuMuNs, so that very well could change things. Well, Toby, we're going to take a quick little break while the lobby gets situated, but at least you know where we stand. And chat, keep the conversation going. Let us know. Why did you go with the United? Or if you're a Team Queso fan, why are you going TQ this time around? Is it SuMuNs or is it something else? We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gears Pro League Split 4, day number 1. I'm Taylor Reflections, double joined by Toby Campbell. A great point was brought up in chat, Toby. Our colors are literally EU. We got red and we got blue.
Oh, yeah.
In the exact same. Totally not planned, mind you guys. Like, we're not like Colin, who dresses up with the colors on Championship Sunday of who he's backing up. But this works out very well for eUnited. So anytime that we cast together, we might be repping eUnited all night, weirdly enough. Not that I necessarily want to, but we might. Can't speak for you.
You wouldn't blame us, though, if we were new hardcore fans of United after that match we had the pleasure of casting over last major, right, against KCP.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, that was something. That was one of my most enjoyable casts ever. And that's saying something, because I've had a lot of fun casts, just like today, Taylor, it must be said. And eUnited have been such a fun and entertaining team, I think. in the last split to see develop over time. Finally, they seem to be coming into the groove, and then they took it to KCP in that fashion. I mean, now everyone's just going to be staring at them, and putting them underneath a magnifying glass to make sure that they can continue to produce performances like that,
right?
And then see it out until the end. Very, very much importantly, as clearly Rise were also, hot through the losers bracket and were able to throw out performances of their own. The last split and eUnited certainly have the potential to perhaps even kind of live out the glory days in many ways of their old variation of Optic Gaming, kind of explosive previously on this roster, mental way back when, praised, Kenny. This is kind of the sons of Optic Gaming in many ways, and so they kind of need to, if they can, live up to that pressure. And I hope there is a little bit of pressure, after that last, performance in the major, but not too much, and they stay confident and composed going forward.
Well, also, not to mention just Powerz getting a championship without the guidance of Explosive or without the guidance of Kenny, right? That would be a big milestone, I think, in his career, which has already been laden with victories everywhere you look. So for Powerz, that would be a pretty good way to kind of end Gears as of now, anyways. So that would be pretty special to say the least. But everybody is gunning for first place again, with it being the last major, the summer major. Yeah, everybody's going to want to finish on top. Who wants to finish second place and say we were the second best team? I know Latin America doesn't. I don't say that as a joke either. I'm not calling. Okay, I'm here to say that sincerely. Like, Latin America does not want to be second again. They want to be first. And whether it's Dyslexic representing the region, to share the crown with Identives, or if it's just Latin America in general, they want that championship. Side note too, Chad, I want to say I apologize. I know you guys have been talking to me. I haven't been responding normally. I do. I've been very focused tonight because I need to give my best for Toby, because he's on Pro League for the first time in a long, long time. I think since Gears 4, if I'm not mistaken, Toby. So it's I wanted to. Yeah. Did we have you on last season?
Oh, I didn't cast it wasn't only the relegation. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I did have Pro League. Yeah.
Who'd you cast with?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah, it must have been you.
What?
So you forgot already. I see.
Well, Toby, you forgot too. Okay, you forgot too. All right, so don't act like you didn't forget, because I don't remember.
No, I really casted Pro League. There wasn't a voice on my.
But you didn't know it was with me. I'm trying my best to shift the blame somehow, some way. I don't remember that. I'm sorry.
Hey, you praise me a lot. You kind of need to balance it out a little bit, and I need to start praising you ultimately too, a little bit.
No, you
don't. I'm not a scientist for saying psychology, and I think you do absolutely know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the mental game of Gears of War. So
I love that you think that. I really love that you think that. But Chad, I love all you guys.
I know that. That's for sure.
Toby, it's awesome being with you tonight, man. It's been a fun cast. It's been really an entertaining night as a whole. The only thing that I find offense, though, is Tony Baloney Pepperoni in chat said, Toby's buff, man. He works out quite a bit, which fair enough, Toby. You do work out quite a bit. But I've worked out for the past 3 weeks, and I've received 0 compliments. And I'm like, wow, really? So, Toby, whatever you're doing is working, and I need your game plan, because clearly what I'm doing doesn't amount to anything. It kind of sucks.
The secret that I use oftentimes, and clearly today, is just to wear the tightest clothing you clearly can find in your wardrobe.
Well, I do that too. I shop at Baby Gap, apparently.
I mean, I've heard you've had compliments, walking around random American stores and shops that I don't have in the UK. So, okay. I mean, if you can go through life like that, surely you can pull something off, some camera trickery or something, with the camera. I don't know. I mean, you tell me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I don't know.
What's the secret?
Well, before I answer that, I just saw the guy in the hot dog suit, so I'm going to exit out of chat now. That's enough of that. And it was almost enough once I saw them discussing beans on toast again, which Hunter, of course, wanted to bring to the table as he. Toby, we're not, though. We're not talking about beans on toast. We're not.
I think we can, really... actually. Should we bring that up?
Why? No,
beans
why,
on toast
though?
It's a delicacy. And it's a very good... It's not even a snack. I was about to say snack, but it's a meat.
It's Bush's baked beans on, like white bread, my guy. Like, come on. What is special about Bush's baked beans on I'm trying to think of the most generic bread out there, but nothing's coming to mind. Wonder Bread. On Wonder Bread. So, Toby, what is special about that?
I mean, I don't know what the Bush's brand is. I've never heard of it here in the UK, but we do have Heinz beans, which Bleach, I'm sure, will be very familiar with. And that is the brand to go to. And also, bread is a little bit different in the US. A little bit more sugar content, I believe, and it tastes quite a bit different, apparently. Never had just plain sliced bread in the US, I will confirm for you. So I can't really comment as to the differences of such a traditional meal here in the UK. But it's nice. It's great.
Really?
And it's wholesome.
Wholesome.
I will say. And I really do like it. And I'm glad that you're acutely listening right now. And I hope you do try beans on toast very soon.
Well, I won't. But I'm just wondering, like, okay, what else do you put beans on, Toby? Like, a toast is one. The beans and toast I get. But what else do you put beans on?
Of course, the traditional fried breakfast, bacon, beans, sausage.
To be fair, your fried breakfast is actually amazing. I'm going to be honest, yeah. And then that slice of tomato, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
That can work, but I'm not typically a fan of that on the plate. So we could leave that by the side. We'll have the toast and beans, though. I think, honestly, the beans are the most important part of that dish, too. And you can probably tell that I'm somewhat of a fan of beans by this point. But to try and attack beans on toast, it's going to be difficult while I'm on the mic, I think. Yeah,
I'm astounded. As a man of culture is defending beans and toast, but then again, maybe I'm not a man of culture. I'm maybe you're a typical American that's just like, it's not America, so therefore it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I like beans. Yeah. But I just don't like it on toast, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But granted, I have seen it taken a bit too far, the whole beans conversation. And, of course, Europeans tweeting out, good morning with beans on, like, cereal or something like that. And I'm just kind of like, come on, now you're taking it way too far. Like, you don't even see the toast. You just see a pile of beans on top of it. I'm just like, surely that's not good. But fair enough. Maybe I have to give it a shot. Try it out. I believe you. I trust in you, Toby. That's what I'm getting at. If you say it's good, I guess I'll try it. I got some Bush's beans downstairs with some white bread. Apparently too much sugar in my bread. Offended by that too. But that's fine. I'll go out and buy some artisan bread because that's what is good for the Welsh artesian bread.
Don't only order Heinz beans from across seas, or order bread as well if you really want the true British experience. But surely you have Heinz beans in America, huge brand. Surely. Anyway, guess we should talk about some Gears of War.
I think we should. Definitely. Let's get it going. All right. So the early initial breakout is here. Finally, everything's been figured out. But for Team Queso, bit of a standoff. Matter of fact, not a standoff at all. Look at how quickly they take it over. And eUnited 4 down, plus Torquebo going to Sleeafer.
Okay. This was, surprising. I guess they were listening to me when I was criticizing their pick of Ritual. That was really quite convincing, actually, that initial from TQ. Well played indeed. Torquebo in hand for Sleeafer. Very good with his weapon historically, and he seems to be living up to that today here too. Great stick as well. Second one on TJ, catching him on the knee as he rolls across the screen of Sleeafer. A stick for him as well. He's coming into his own, Taylor.
Coming into his own indeed. Sleeafer is a guy that just performs well, and he does it consistently. I mean, he's 6-0 right now. He is 6-0. He still has Torquebo's remaining, 2 to be exact. This is the start you need. But one thing that I've learned, however, is one player is not enough to control a game or control a series. We saw that represented by Chaos just a little bit earlier, and Kasade Papel, as good as he was playing, the rest of the roster wasn't necessarily backing him up. So for Sleeafer doing as well as he is, I think Team Queso as a whole is definitely doing their job, but let's see if they can keep up.
Yeah, that will be the true test, right? This is the first initial, of course, and the only initial of Control, but there's many team fights to go. And United do love a good old shotgun fest in this map. Great stick again, mind you, from Sleeafer. Problems will clean up that kill too. This is kind of what they need to keep up, though. That's for sure, Team Queso. They need to leverage that Torquebo as much as they can and keep United at bay. Don't let them get too ahead of themselves. And most importantly, don't let this man on your screen go off and start coming into his own as well. Gameplay. United Powerz.
Cristalize. Backing up, but coming back in just to get the finish onto Demise. Sleeafer is 8 1-0. I mean, what a start from this man, and I feel like it'd be a sin not to watch him, even if he's not even in a fight. I feel like we just need to watch his perspective. What is he doing that is working so well? I mean, I'd be hard-pressed to see him not load the active and then headshot Demise at this point. Active's in. He could do it. He knows he can do it, but does he want to risk it? On the other side, however, Powerz does have a torque bow of his own. So on board with Sleeafer. Misses the shot on Demise. There's a chance this man can actually die, but will he? Demise trying to close the gap. Sleeafer gonna step back. The right hand if he decides to make that push. Meanwhile, inside the hill, Cristalize in a fight himself. Sleeafer, as we hop back on board, he doesn't die. And he will, in fact, be 9-0 once Demise bleeds out.
He's just a hitman on the map right now. He's doing his own thing just in the corner, trying to find kills and waiting for the 1v situation, regardless of the hills elsewhere. I mean, let him continue doing that. Meanwhile, the rest of his team are rotating fast, and they've got an amazing push onto the first two. Powerz and Dyslexic there on the hill. Wonder if they can actually take down TJ and take that short spawn too.
Short spawn will definitely be beneficial if they can get that. In the meantime, though, for eUnited, they've got to push forward. This is not an easy retake. This is never an easy hill to take over, especially from the side eUnited is trying to take it from. But maybe they make a bit of an adjustment and rotate mid. I thought they were going to, at least when player one kind of rotated out, but they don't. Interestingly enough, Team Queso actually pushes forward. You don't see that too often. Powerz has a chance, though, with his off angle to surprise the... Oh, man, but Sleeafer finally dies. TJ gets him. A bit too much dancing around from Sleeafer's perspective. And Powerz, even though he doesn't necessarily pick up any kills from that fight, Toby, he disrupted Team Queso, and that was enough.
Yeah, there's definite presence there, and that's what Powerz is known for, right? As being a huge factor on the map, regardless of where he might be, regardless of the power weapons or weapons he might have in his hand. Dyslexic, the icebreaker here. Look at this for a flank. He was doing plenty of that in the previous ritual. We casted him on over, and TJ with the double as well to finish things off there. Well played, and already here at eUnited overextending. Towards the left, they've got the torque bow into Powerz' hands, and half the score of Team Queso right now, but it's early days, and they're looking good.
Oh, watch out, though. SuMuNs catching Demise a little bit off guard there. He thought he was safe, but unfortunately wasn't. Meanwhile, Powerz, though, looking to recover a bit for his roster. Nice shot onto Sleeafer, and he can now angle out this hill, get onto it, make eUnited get, or at least allow eUnited to get a couple of more points. Got to be careful, though. He does have players in front and in back, so he could get pinched. That's a good exit. Gets away, and now can reset, but only for a short period of time before he drops. For Team Queso, they are unrelenting. We're seeing bits, a sliver of light, if you will, for EU, but it's quickly stunted out from Team Queso with the way that they retake control. I'm really impressed. Finally, though, eUnited will have control of the hill.
Great discipline on show from Powerz there. You saw the two players in front of him. Immediately he starts backing off, but still holding his cover, still close enough to put in the damage. And of course, finding the kills in the end. The rotation once more over to where we started for the map. That's the second time I've seen a miss input from SuMuNs. Before it was an incorrect cover switch, and now a miss mantle. Sleeafer, nice secret man from him, but just notice the kill feed, Taylor. It's just going blue over and over again. Team fight after team fight. This is exactly what Team Queso didn't want. eUnited finally starting to play, starting to warm up here on their favorite map.
Like you said, favorite map. That's the key takeaway. And for Team Queso, what made that start so impressive, even from Sleeafer's perspective, going, 9-0 before finally dying to TJ off of hill number 3, was the fact that we questioned Team Queso picking Ritual. That start was so good that I was like, well, maybe they are wanting to prove a point, and I think they still definitely are. But for eUnited to come back like they are, things could get a lot more tense than I was even thinking off of the rip. New hill in play. Team Queso currently in it. But for eUnited, you see 2 up top, 2 on bottom, Toby. They're looking to pincer this push, and I think it starts with Powerz getting a pick.
Active. Aiming away. Cristalize had no idea where that torque bow was coming from. Rotating round for the angle on the hill. And now the rest of the eUnited players can collapse on the remaining 2 as Demise picks off 1 elsewhere. Lovely stuff on show, but Dyslexic is going to be taken down in the process, actually. Not sure if that's entirely necessary, although Problems has other ideas. Lovely trade. Powerz immediately gets that stick and runs away to make sure he stays alive, because his team has short spawn and he has 1 torque remaining.
On Torque, he's got to place this properly. Nade is out. It doesn't connect or have an impact. That's a shot. That'd be nice on the Sleeafer. Still 3 more you have to deal with. Team Queso pushes up to take the fight to eUnited. That's something they have been doing in back-to-back kills, and it seems to be paying off, not only last time, but this time as well. That is a great hold from Team Queso's perspective, given the fact that so much pressure and so much utility was used on the side of eUnited. I'm talking nades, I'm talking torque bow, but Toby, Team Queso did not back down, and in fact, they bled that hill dry.
I'm still wondering how they lost Dyslexic in the first moments, actually. Such too aggressive a flank. Look at this for a secret man here at the back from Sleeafer. Again, going right to the outskirts of Ritual in order to enable nice flurry of kills potentially for him. He gets the down on TJ, but sadly he should be aiming right in front, defending his own corners. Dyslexic finds him. And still the battle continues for this next hill. Look how far back it is, Taylor. It's rare you see it go so far into the back of the traditional spawn and Ritual, but this is what is demanded of these teams and players when players do try and set up early on with great safe space and cover from the hill.
I love that little battle between Powerz and Sleeafer. It was a tense one for sure. Powerz does get the better of them in the end. eUnited looking to take control of the point lead, which I want to say for the first time, they just simply haven't had it. Team Queso's been doing such a good job, and if they did have it, it was only for a fleeting moment. Sleeafer, though, with the fresh torque bow, could be scary days for eUnited. We've seen what he can do just a little bit earlier. He's lining up a shot on Dis. Doubles back onto TJ. It's not going to have any effect whatsoever, so he'll take another shot. Which not going to connect on the Powerz just yet.
30 seconds left on this hill, though. Less than that as I speak, and Sleeafer's just trying to find sticks, but it's potentially just wasting ammo at this point because there's so little points left. eUnited have already got so many kills. I mean, yes, finally SuMuNs is able to find a kill, but little too late, really. Demise, brilliant movement from him again. Love that wrap shot at the end. And that will certainly make sure the torque bow is no longer in play. But, you know, a consideration, let's put a contrast to that. There's not many points left, Taylor. They have a fresh torque bow. Does Sleeafer really need to go that way on the map? Maybe just rotate to the next one, right? And save all the ammo, or even wait. Just wait on the hill itself as it spawns up there. Definitely something to consider.
Yeah, and with the points being as close as they are, and quite honestly, with every fight being as close as it's been, Toby, mistakes like that could be the difference between a win or a loss. And at this point for eUnited, they do take a 30-point lead, and they might not be slowing down. SuMuNs, bit of a missed shot. Luckily, Powerz is there to help out, or at least bait out the kill, but simply not going to be enough. eUnited will continually hold on. And at this point, Toby, I'm starting to get a bit worried for Team Queso.
Yeah, you and me both. Great work from eUnited, dodging the nades in the way they did, still being close by for the chain revives if at all necessary. 40 seconds left on this hill. TJ's already rotated well over to the other side just to keep the numbers staggered for Team Queso. And it really is perhaps the story developing here. eUnited are just playing out of their minds here on Ritual. They haven't really need to do anything too mechanically insane, as we saw in their KCP matchup, but teamwork-wise, they are finally adapting. SuMuNs there, the standout factor for me, Taylor, 3 to 14. Not sure if that's a similar thing for you.
Yeah, 3 of 14, impressive. I mean, given the, or should we not impressive? Sorry, I was thinking 14 assists, but 3 and 14 definitely best.
Is that what you're
going? Impressed? No, I'm not, because I wouldn't roast anybody that hard. But I mean, what is it? Sleeafer though? How well is Sleeafer doing at the moment? He's 12 and 12. 12 and 12, Toby. Remember at the start, like literally the first, 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, he was 9 and 0. Now he's 12 and 12. So he has only picked up three additional kills since the first 3 or 5 minutes of gameplay. So he has slowed down tremendously. So yeah, we can point out others for being, 3 and 12, but also Sleeafer himself has been shut down completely.
Yeah, control is the first to 300. It's not execution, right? If it was XE, Team Queso would have won the round on the initial, right? And had the numbers going forward that eUnited were able to get back into the game. And now look at the score as we check back in. Over 100 points. Just overtaken that marker. And Powerz has been, really quite confident in his gameplay. Nothing too crazy again, mechanically, from anyone, including him. But the points have developed as a result of eUnited's consistency on this map. And the rotations and teamwork. And just playing business as usual without anything too flashy.
Not enough points to win off of this, but I mean, they're already close enough as it is, and they're only going to get closer, forcing Team Queso to fight for every bit of scrap time, new hills, rotations, literally the whole gambit. Team Queso, it seems as if it might be over with. Powerz, a nice series of kills. TJ as well. Last one is going to be cleaned up, and that should be all she wrote. And it will be, Toby, a pretty convincing win for the boys of eUnited, which almost turned out to be pretty bad at the very beginning.
Yeah, it was early days, and yeah, I did mention that it was an interesting fact that they even went for this map originally, but perhaps they proved me wrong on the initial with how flawless it was from Team Queso, but in the end, it really was just that. A very strong start. As you said, Sleeafer went 9-0, great talkbow usage, but it was short-lived, and I feel like eUnited didn't even need to do much and didn't really need to just dive into their pockets of skill, if you will. And their bags of talent in the back. They were just walking forward. They were just winning their shotgun fights. They were rotating as early as needs be. You know, nothing too crazy there either. It felt quite relaxed to me looking at eUnited, almost like a different team to their past. Almost as if they were perhaps playing down to Team Queso. You know, usually that is a criticism, and I think it always should be. But in this instance, it seemed to have perhaps been the strategy, or not the strategy, but the mentality of eUnited in that one. But it worked, and it still leaves me begging the question, why did Team Queso pick this first map against eUnited of all teams?
Well, I mean, it almost worked out, at least off the start. But I've got to ask you, Toby, I mean, maybe you have a bit more fresh eyes than I do. For Team Queso, such an explosive start. We look at Sleeafer. So Sleeafer was actually 8-1. I thought he was 9-0. I thought that finish from a little bit earlier would have put him at 9, but 8-1 still. For him to be 8-1 this early and then to finish off 12-15 shows to me that I mean, even here, 170, right? 170, and then they finish off 300 to 181. How in the world did Team Queso get shut down so hard, in your opinion?
I think the devil is in the details there. I think it perhaps was Sleeafer playing such a huge role at the start of the game and going off so tremendously that it was just a veering off from usual gameplay for Team Queso. As soon as they lost Sleeafer, in that component, he wasn't able to go off anymore. Perhaps it just returned to normality, and eUnited, just as I said, nothing crazy, just played as normal for them in many ways. And so perhaps that was it. Perhaps it was just losing the Sleeafer factor. And they did continue to get talkbow at times, but it was mostly eUnited which got the majority of them then. So it wasn't even that. They tried that, dynamic. Going through it in my mind, I can't see anything that stood out in particular. And so I'd still just defer to eUnited perhaps playing down a little bit and playing their favorite map without a care in the world.
Yeah, without a care in the world, indeed. And Powerz, hell of a performance, finishing 16-9. A lot of damage done, Toby. So impressive. For eUnited, it's funny. Even watching the start, I made a comment about Sleeafer, and I kind of compared him to Chaos from that Costa Papel roster. Chaos playing as well as he is. Can the rest of the roster keep up? Well, in that moment, they weren't, but even Sleeafer decided to, slow down for whatever reason that was. But the thing about eUnited is they can take that heat, and they're not going to get down on themselves. So even though Sleeafer starts off aggressively, we see Team Queso take a pretty decent lead. eUnited looks at that and says, whatever, like, we know what we can do. And in fact, they start to play even harder. You say relax, but I think they got into the flow state, started playing their game as they typically do. A big example, going back to Powerz finishing 16-9. He's usually the biggest impact on Ritual, and he was the biggest impact in this map number 1. But I'm stunned. Absolutely stunned how hard Team Queso was shut down. I mean, violently. To go from 170 to like 160 something and then finish 181 to 300. I mean, that shows to me like something went wrong. And when it started going wrong, there was no regain at all from Team Queso's perspective.
Yeah, momentum gone. The Sleeafer component gone. Talkbow losing the majority of them there on out, and eUnited were utilizing the Talkbow and gaining value almost every single time. Of course, it was mainly Powerz that got that. And it's, I think, it's just, It wasn't even that it was Team Queso. I think perhaps it was more just eUnited there, just, finally warming up, if you will, finally dealing with that Sleeafer factor. Right. And I think even if you took Team Queso out and put Casa de Papel in there, if you put Rebel in there, maybe even PK, maybe even Rise as well. eUnited would eventually just come back, and then they'd string a few team fights together. They'd start having TJ rotate to the other end of the map, or horizontally speaking, or Powerz, or someone would be lurking, and then once that engine starts going for eUnited, it's very hard to come back from on Ritual in particular. And I would just really venture and caution any team that will try and vote and pick Ritual going forward against eUnited. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't even do half of the stuff they can do eUnited on that map, because mechanically they weren't really pressed outside of course that first initial with Sleeafer going off. So yeah, I'm not sure there is much else to it, to be honest, despite Team Queso's efforts, despite going deep into the spawns and setups and things, and playing quite by the book with many pushes. It wasn't to be. eUnited just a bit too strong in those team fights.
Well, now we're moving into Ephyra, another scary map for Team Queso. When I think about Ephyra and I think about dominant teams, eUnited is on the upper echelon of those dominant teams because they've got a lot of factors that work for them. Powerz does an excellent job fighting for the torque bow. Dyslexic is very deadly in the hotel fight. TJ, or Demise, excuse me, does a fairly decent job, whether it's Demise or TJ, to do a fairly decent job fighting for the drop shot. But obviously a lot of attention goes towards Powerz getting the torque bows as consistently as he does. And after getting shut down as hard as, it's not even the points, but it's really the kills that I was looking at. Again, for Sleeafer to be 8-1 within like the first couple of minutes of gameplay, and then to finish off 12 and whatever he was, that shows to me eUnited 100% shut them down. And if Team Queso doesn't regain, this Ephyra could be a rough one. Absolutely.
Sleeafer, amazing on the initial in the last series, but not to be here. And Cristalize is going to fall very quickly in the middle. TJ, extremely dominant in the center lane in the major. And he looks to be going with that exact fashion of play here at the start. 24 seconds it took to end that one. And very difficult to analyze given the speed in which it played out, of course, Taylor. Four deaths, 0 kills for Team Queso, completely wiped off the face of the map. I think they won, or they lost every single, even 1v across the different sides, right? Of course, they didn't get a kill, but what I'm saying is that it was a clean sweep in loads of different situations, not just the middle area. And perhaps Team Queso need to make sure that can't occur again.
Round number 2, Dyslexic this time around has 2 members from Team Queso right in front of him, but he is going to be assisted, I believe, from Demise just to his right, or maybe even TJ. There it is. Actually, it's all 3 of them, and the Wolfpack is going to pay dividends. In fact, another flawless round for eUnited, and this, I think, nobody has died yet on the eUnited side, so we will see in just a second.
You're right, yeah. Blink and you miss it. Demise in 4 kills immediately after 2 rounds, and it is staggeringly impactful, isn't it? That push through the center as a wolf pack. It's insane to see eUnited pull it off. So maybe some viewers at home will like to pay attention to the minimap throughout this round if they continue to do it, and you might see how fast eUnited are actually moving cover to cover and how quickly they break down the formation. But likewise, Team Queso are changing things up. More players outside going for the drop shot. TJ dodging a drop shot and finding his own kill, but Sleeafer holds on and has 1 drop shot left to his name.
Can use it well. Sends it flying. Demise is gone. Now 2v2. Team Queso goes 2 rounds in a row without getting a single kill, and finally in round 3 they wake up and they pick up 2. Can they also get the last remaining 2 of eUnited and get a victory here? That would be a big moment. Sleeafer walking in. It's now a tense 2v2. Dyslexic falls. Team Queso can't close the gap, Toby, to get the finish.
No power weapons in hand left. Right hand for Sleeafer, and he's been having a fantastic series overall after the start of Ritual. Not going to be able to push on that right hand just yet. The players just testing each other. Meanwhile, Problem's getting down, but a quick enough revive before anyone can go for the push. But Powerz is trying to angle right now, going wide as possible. But he has to be careful the Dyslexic does not get caught out here. They are playing the smart game, playing angles, playing distance, making sure that none of them can get 2v1 with the shotgun.
Really tough spot for Problems and Sleeper to be in. Loving the angles from eUnited. It's tough to push one or the other because doing so might overexpose you. Dyslexic, nice shot, but hey, he's down. And he get picked back up. Powerz finds an opportunity. He gets him, and Powerz sees it. He goes for it. He will get it. Those early downs paying dividends, really, because we saw the Lancer Fire get the last player on his last down and out, finish him off. But that was a tense fight.
It was, and I was surprised actually that Dyslexic let it get to the way it was, and this was a fantastic job from TJ. Even better, arguably, for Sleefer. Look at this composure, straight to the left, knows his players approaching from all angles, but it was, of course, Powerz that clutched up. That down with the Nasher from distance saved the day, honestly. If Sleefer didn't get down right there, they'd been both close enough, perhaps, to chain revive regardless of what happened.
Oh, man. Oh, yo, TJ. I thought he was dead to rights. Luckily, Powerz and Demise will back him up. Torquemo, though, is going to get at least one from eUnited. Making now a sudden death 1v1. Demise, he gets away, but where's he going? Is the drop shot still up? That's my question.
Yeah, he's running for it as fast as he can. Is Problem close enough to land for time? No, he will not be able to. Quick pick for Demise. Simply done. Well played. Very smart indeed. Problem's trying to close the gap, so he's not too far, or rather, he can keep close enough so the drop shot
might be over.
Usable. Let's see. No, Demise is going to make his distance. 2 shots active as well. It's going to connect. Well played, Demise. Extremely smart play. That is exactly how you play 1v situations. A power weapon on the map, especially a drop shot, Taylor. You rotate early. You do not give any chance for the kill to come through. And I was going to mention, Powerz actually stuck TJ in that process, which is what brought it down to a 2v1 in the first place. So for Demise to clutch up for the team in that sense, with just very cool, calm, collected decision-making there. Back to basics, if you will. Really, really a big point there. And as we look up to the top of the screen, it's 4-0 to eUnited now.
Yeah, 4-0, and no signs of slowing down. We've seen close moments for Team Queso, but it's been more so on the back of mistakes from eUnited than it has been anything else. I mean, look at the power Dyslexic has in that aggressive push, and he is showing zero signs of slowing down. Even TJ to take down Sleeper, and is that a drop shot? Yes, it is. What?
Over the top instantly. This is how fast they're moving right now. Oh, 1v2. Okay, there you go. Another team kill, but eUnited honestly
that was
not fair at this point, I think. 5-2.
I don't think they do.
The fact that TJ is that quickly flanking a drop shot player, and a team like Team Queso, a pro team, does not have any clue that he's coming, goes to show how difficult eUnited are to deal with right now. It is absolutely insane. You could expect a flank like that to occur on someone holding the most powerful weapon on the game. Insane stuff, and 5-2 for eUnited, and it's thoroughly deserved, clearly, because Team Queso can't handle it right now.
Handle it indeed. 5-0, like you said. Dyslexic, I mean, he has just been... I mean, can you see his movement? Because I'm not wearing my glasses, and I just don't get it.
Lincoln, you miss it. 20 seconds it took for that last round to come through, and all we saw was a bouncing montage, essentially, in the middle staircase of the map. Dyslexic, well played from him, but it was honestly a team effort from all of eUnited, making it look like a ranked match here on Ephyra Execution, where they all sprinted across whatever area of Ephyra they were on, finding the 1Vs and quickly collapsing on their opponents. That was stunning from them.
There it is, Toby. 2-0 lead for eUnited. Very convincing. A lot to break down and unpack despite it being a dominating win. But when we come back, Map 3 Training Grounds Escalation coming your way. Welcome back, everybody, to Gears Pro League Split 4 Day 1. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Toby Campbell. eUnited soaring to victory, up 2-0. A big win on Ritual, 300-181. And then Ephyra 6-0. Team Queso can't get anything going.
Yeah, I mean, usually you take this moment after the break of Execution to discuss strategy differences, right? But it's hard to really go into because all those rounds were just won via eUnited, apart from clutching up like this on Power's end. And look at that shotgun down. He tries to get around that corner. If he actually gets to cover that, completely different situation around. But back to it. I mean, strategically, Team Queso tried different things, different, 2v1 location over on the drop shot. They started sending more players there and outside, but look at this. There's no initial to deal with that. If TJ is running through his 1v and so quickly flanking and your comms are not capable of keeping track of him, then what do you do? How do you react to that? Oh, TJ was in our spawn. Can we make sure that doesn't happen next round? Yeah, sure, but then 20 seconds in, you've already lost the round. So there's no spawn anywhere, and a 6-0 just like that because eUnited are dancing through the middle of the map. You know, it doesn't matter how many players you send to the middle or left or right-hand side of the map, Taylor. If they're going to get flanked eventually, what use of it, you know, is it at that point to change things up? So at the end of the day, United is just unstoppable, it seems like, on that map, and definitely a threat for anyone to play against on that one.
Yeah, and now they move into training grounds, which in a way is decent for Team Queso. I do feel like Team Queso traditionally has played TG a bit better than most, but granted, eUnited, with the confidence they have. Now, that can be a double-edged sword. If I take a step back, Toby, confidence sometimes, if you're overconfident, you start making silly plays that Team Queso is going to capitalize off of. Let's not forget, Team Queso is a Pro League team. And we understand when it comes to Pro League, yeah, we do have varying degrees of, you know, this guy or this team is better than this team and so on and so forth. But Team Queso will still capitalize off of eUnited's silly mistakes. So for eUnited, they need to go back to their ABCs, play confidently, play lights out like they are, but really bring it home in map 3.
Yeah, and it's more of a concern, that angle as well, Taylor, for United, in that if my assessment is actually true, or assumption rather, that first map they were just kind of playing down to TK rather. Maybe they do that a little bit too much, more so on TG, especially after that 6-0 too. Let's wait and see, or to see if it will be a quick 3-0, or will TQ eventually come back. Great move from Powerz, but TQ seem to be the victors here.
Yeah, well done. And that, I mean, hey, if those initials continue to go the way of Team Queso, maybe that opens up a possibility for a power weapon to be up top as opposed to being down low, where we traditionally see the sniper being placed, at least off of the past couple of splits. But round 2, here we go. Team Queso once again trying to take over B for the first time. And Demise is going to do everything in his power to assist. Powerz will also move up, and this is a great angle for him to have, especially with Sleeafer being stunned. That is an easy series of eliminations. And TJ keeping that pressure up, forcing Team Queso back to where they can't even push up. Mind you, eUnited, they're going to go ahead and push up themselves, Toby. Can they do it?
Great shots from Powerz there. Shot holding for as long as he can. Oh, TJ just dancing around that steam train. Potential from problems. Triple cap blinking on our screen. 5 seconds to go. And it looks like TQ should be able to reach it, but the question is, will they win that team fight? Not much confidence after how Ephyra played out. Checking over towards the B hill. No one nearby. SuMuNs can't even get to the C hill in time. United. Great recovery after what was a very swift initial loss over there up top. And you've raised a good point. TQ, if they can actually continuously win the initials and the strict initials and the team fights at the start, just like we saw on Ritual on that awesome initial from them, a clean sweep, might be a good strategy for them to really like trap United in on that up top area with a power weapon.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But is it going to be enough? That's my only question. And we've only seen one initial, but that is definitely something that I think Team Queso can absolutely do. But for TQ, it seems as if they're going to place a long shot down low. I don't agree with this, and the reason why is because, again, it looked like your strongest initial was in the Overlook fight, but now you're going to be breaking up the fight a little bit more and taking what I think is the strong suit away, which is your initial.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they have a trick up their sleeve and they know that they're better historically on the strat down bottom, this initial. Let's see. Powerz flies on through, dispatches with his 1v immediately, and TJ as well going to work, but he's been taken down by SuMuNs. Still is a player lurking in the form of Cristalize, but Powerz, most importantly, has got away with the snipe. I was about to say, was he going to be saved by Cristalize? No, he's not in the end. Powerz can slow things down a little bit. You know, they have the 2 cap Taylor and they have the snipe as well. They can now look to use that to see, if they can get a headshot just like that. Powerz from their awesome position here, just above B.
And one up on 2 problems. Good trigger discipline. He does have a teammate off to his right. I mean, seeing the pixel problems, that's going to be 2, almost 3. Cristalize still can inch his way forward. 2 more shots remaining. And body shots now will be deadly because he does have Demise who can maybe inch his way up and get a finish. actually pull back a little bit. They haven't made an adjustment, or they haven't really tried the pressure on the C just yet. There's another headshot. I think that's 3 headies now and a couple of bodies for every shot of Powerz. So, I mean, you want to talk about giving value to the opposite team. That's exactly what Team Queso just did. We see TQ try to retake control. Toby, they don't get very far. Unless Sleeafer can pop off again, but I mean, he's only one person, and he's going to end up falling to the wayside.
Yeah, he might be just one person. He can go off all he wants, but if all of eUnited just swarming around him constantly and always in his face, and the rest of his teammates, him and his teammates are not going to have much on offer really to respond to that. And with Powerz starting to really use the snipe when he gets it and using it as well as you'd expect, Powerz at his best. It's looking daunting right now for Team Queso, I have to admit this early on. United pulling back with a little bit of a score lead, but positioned perhaps to get back the double cap in no time at all.
It's had no time at all, and I mean, scary prospects for Team Queso, given the fact that they're already down so much. Cog team should win in about 30 seconds, and they will. So at this point for TQ, can they get it going? That's a start. Demise TJ now dead. That gives an opportunity to go for the OE, home hill to home hill. But it might be short-lived. The SuMuNs is forced to dance around between 2 members of eUnited. They do find real estate to get onto B, but 1 hill is all eUnited needs, and they have that 1 hill, Toby.
Yeah, they do. Sleeafer has the snipe. 30 seconds less than that now to go. But eUnited to win off 1 hill. And Sleeafer all the way back with the snipe. Let's see, enough picks could do it. Demise will fall, Dyslexic as well, 15 seconds left.
Okay.
TJ's going to get downed as well. This is actually a really good opportunity now for Team Queso. Thrust themselves back in it, but they need to get to the hills.
They do need to get to the hills. Powerz falls. Here we go. Team Queso could very well do this. eUnited, though, breaking out. Look at this brilliant play, Toby. They break immediately to get over towards B, and they get the touch just in the nick of time. Sleeafer, though, with the headshot, but it's not enough. Dyslexic still going for the cap. Just 2 seconds away from victory. Dyslexic, stay alive, my boy. Oh, but a touch is there. Sleeafer, he'll extend the round. It's still possible from Team Queso. Did eUnited get it? No, they did not. Team Queso wins it. What a round.
Just enough points. That last touch at the end was all it required for Team Queso to win by points in the end. Insane stuff. And that angle as well. And the headshot, that Sleeafer found. I know. I was like, what on earth just happened? Sleeafer playing out of his mind to find that angle in the end. Of course, speaking of the sniper, you see Powerz going off with the snipe earlier. This was a beautiful headshot. Classic lead shot, waiting for him to roll in. Look at the angle. Mid-cover slide, finding Demise, immediately taking cover on the furthest corner away on that cube. Insane stuff. And of course, Sleeafer broke that hill in the end as well to guarantee the points coming on to come on through. I mean, tremendous stuff from Sleeafer. Got to give it to him.
I mean, and that's also after Powerz. We're talking about the headshots he was getting. What, 3 headshots with 1 sniper, plus some bodies. Now eUnited, I bet you they're angry, Toby, and I'm curious how they're going to play this round. They've already got 2 kills to their name, and Cristalize and SuMuNs last alive. Look at how aggressive eUnited is being, Toby, to lock this round up in a way of domination. And that's the eUnited you get when you take rounds away from them. But honestly, I mean, hell of a job from Team Queso. That's what they have to do.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Powerz back on the snipe. 3 seconds to go on the domination. It is paused for now, but look how many players there are lined up. The bodies for eUnited are just perhaps too much. Powerz has seen the runner here. SuMuNs, can he reach in time? No, he cannot. Like being able to cover slide there on the last cube at the end. Domination coming on through. You nailed it, Taylor. I mean, they responded in kind, didn't they? Oh,
they were mad. They were pissed. Like, see, eUnited's petty, right? So you take a round away like that, and they get angry. It's not ego per se. It's kind of like, I don't know, sometimes they just take things for granted. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out my butt, but that's just what I think. And again, when you take something from them, even if it wasn't really yours to begin with, because that wasn't their round, Team Queso got it. eUnited felt they were robbed, so they came back with a vengeance. Well done. So now it's 2-1. We're in the last round of the first half before the neutral hill goes from range up towards overlook. Once again, the sniper fight is going to be underway. Powerz taking a bit of a step back to get some Lancer damage in, but we do see a member from Team Queso currently in there. That's going to be problems. He does get the sniper. Bit of a standoff now, though, on the neutral hill. Luckily, Problems does get away, and this is probably the cleanest start from Team Queso we've seen in quite some time.
Problems almost getting down there and has escaped back at the top. Not able to connect the shots, as well as Powerz was earlier. Or Sleeafer, for that matter. Nice little shack on TJ, but he is outnumbered here, Taylor. And he is trapped. 2 shots remaining. 1 body check would certainly help him, but sadly it's not come through. And Powerz will be the last Titan there on his right to ensure he does not escape. 2 hills, though, for the meantime for eUnited. And they're continuing to pick up kills.
Maybe. I like this wolf pack from SuMuNs and Sleeafer. Shoulder to shoulder, they push up. They'll take down Powerz. Now that leaves up Dyslexic, who is going to be in a tough spot, and he will also fall. And now C is going to be well within their line of sight. I say that, but Sleeafer doesn't feel too confident to push up just yet. Really doesn't have to at this point, Toby, because his teammates do, in fact, get the neutral.
Yeah, nice rotation in Team Queso. Difficult to deal with, right? When you have that many numbers of eUnited flooding up top, you're 2 caps down, but you still find it over on the B hill. Despite eUnited very fast off spawn. Cross trying to prevent it. Cristalize right now. Sat inside God spot, and a nice bit of map control for Team Queso and a breath of fresh air, perhaps. They have a pause to try and deal with eUnited from a very strong position on this map.
Position indeed. Powerz, Demise pushing up to B. They will be opposite of Problems and Cristalize, but Team Queso, an intelligent play going home to home. They'll still maintain the 2-1 in their favor, forcing eUnited to try and regain, but it's not going to be enough because 4 are down, and Team Queso will tie up the first half 2-2. Well done from their perspective. With the way that it started, I didn't think we would be at this point, but this might be the turning point in the series Team Queso was needing.
You and me both. I think maybe that little bit of aggression and perhaps self-centeredness, maybe the way you were describing it in a way. eUnited focused on their game, kind of getting revenge for what Sleeafer did in a previous round. Perhaps that lent itself into impatience there in that last round where they just completely dived out of their spawn but got easily retro-lanced and triple capped like a textbook, right? Just going wide and playing it simple and using the numbers to see the round out. Let's see. Snipe, of course, is still down very, very much and still the main focus point, despite the change of hills in the second half. But you and me both, Taylor. Safe to say, Team Queso. Good to see them at 2-2 at the half-time mark.
Curious how the neutral being up on Overlook changes things. That's where we saw Team Queso putting up a great fight, and they still do put up a great fight, even though there's no power weapon up top. It's fair to say, Toby, they play it so well up there. They're confident. Now, TJ's in a tough spot, but he makes it a bit easier for himself by taking down SuMuNs, and he's going to play around by getting over towards F and might take kind of solace in that up top position so he can maybe snipe onto Overlook, but he's being very hesitant to where he wants to be, and did he drop the sniper? Yeah, give it the Powerz. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's why. He was looking around. It makes sense now. Powerz is just lurking around. You can tell what the comms are like at that point. Hey, I'm over here. Just drop it. Just drop it. I'm here. Absolutely. Powerz. Do you see that angle? How quickly he targeted across, almost like a robot, to find that? Insane. Absolutely insane. Checking across, looking for SuMuNs. Not going to find that shot there. Not going to connect either. And very important if he can hit it. TJ's under a lot of pressure right now. 1v2 essentially.
Back away.
Bouncing back, looking for the trade. Didn't find it. Could have easily been a trade itself.
Right.
Good job nonetheless from TJ.
I like TJ could have potentially backed away from that,
too,
given an opportunity for Powerz to be able to snipe over there. But TJ felt the best opportunity was for him to push up, and I mean he's a confident player. Nice shot cross map. You take down Cristalize. That's one less player you have to deal with, which might make it a bit more enticing. Another great shot on the SuMuNs. So at this point for eUnited, they can push in. They know it's going to be a 3v2, maybe even a 4v2 on E.
So threatening is the snipe on TG for the reasons we've just seen Powerz eloquently demonstrate. No man's land in front of a pro sniper, if you will, like Powerz. Perhaps one of the best snipers we've ever seen in this game. Simple headshots for him to find. Now, rotating back. See if he can stop the players attacking his home hill.
In front of him. Oh, yeah, this should be good, though, for eUnited. They had a player off of the spawn. Granted, he gets taken down. Team Queso putting up a much better fight than I was thinking, especially from that flank, but the way United gets what they want, and that's going to be their home hill back. Still close, Toby. This round could kind of be reminiscent of what we saw in round number 2 or round number 3, where Team Queso ended up winning and just by the hair on their chin, but hey, we'll see if that ends up being the case, as Team Queso does in fact secure the neutral once again. Doesn't give them the win condition, just barely.
Nice body check down, not the headshot. Perhaps that could have really set this one on fire. Still looking for it. So much pressure. He's providing great body check as now the rest of the United players engage from the right-hand side. Great back A's, keeping their distance as a clean sweep up there with only SuMuNs remaining and the score lead locked in for the 2 and locking in the round win 2.
It is nice. So United is going to once again regain the lead 3-2 over Team Queso. Hard-fought battle, however. Definitely, either which roster not wanting to give up an inch by any means possible. Really liking what I'm seeing. I think this is this is definitely the most competitive map we have seen outside of Ritual in the first 5 to 6 minutes. But this is definitely close. A Marxa. Now, that's a placeholder, but I mean, last time we saw Marxa placed, who was it? It was TJ who got it in his hands, and I mean, he was just so nasty with it.
Yeah, I think it's an attempted placeholder at this point, to be honest. I was wondering if Team Queso wanted to try and place something up there, because United are just getting free snipes at the moment. At least give yourself something to play with in the process to avoid it, but here we are instead. They will essentially lose both very quickly because United aren't being that aggressive, that fast, and working so well as a unit when they're close together in the shotgun. With shotguns out, and Powerz has straight away got the snipe. He's returned all the way to his side to make sure he can get to work with that weapon. Insend as well for good measure. The E-Hill's still under Team Queso's control throughout that. But I think it's a good choice actually from United to play it slow because they have literally got both power weapons in the process. Lovely check. Insend as well for good measure. Powerz should be able to go wide here if he wanted to attempt it, but surprise, SuMuNs will not fall off that shot, but he will the last. There, the E-Hill is finally changing hands.
No problems on an overextension. It's going to be up to Demise to get him off of the home hill of eUnited. And that might give a little bit of breathing room for Team Queso to collapse in onto E. But unfortunately for player 8 Sleeafer, he is located down low. He's been spotted. Tough spot to get out of, and he's not going to be able to do so. Smoke to obscure E for the time being. Powerz, though, locked on. SuMuNs is marked. Cristalize misses the instant. He'll ultimately end up dying off. That puts SuMuNs in a clutch spot. Let's see if he's just going to fully back away. He tries to, but he is going to end up dying out. You notice Powerz there actually stops. He doesn't necessarily go for the finish. He lets Demise do it, but it almost seemed as if he wanted Team Queso to attempt to go for the revive so they can get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, and you wouldn't doubt that kind of mentality as well, given the kind of general... wow, that's a fantastic headshot. Leaving me speechless as I try and speak to his mentality. It's the confidence, right, essentially, of all these players, especially Powerz, to be able to perform at such a level where you can kind of get into the nuances like that. Cristalize has been pistoled away, but Powerz, he's out of ammo. But the score lead is built up, and it's pretty significant now, with only 30 seconds left for a second hold. 1 shot remaining. Powerz not going to connect.
Nice double back, even getting shots onto SuMuNs. Here is TJ with the Marxa finally. He does put a couple of shots into some players from TQ, but they're unrelenting. They continue to push up, and they need one concise last-ditch push, and they're almost looking good, but now they're starting to die off one by one. This is a big chance for Dyslexic to hold it on for eUnited. Hold on to this round. Doubles back, gets it. That is it. eUnited will be up 4-2.
Love that shot from Dyslexic there. It was like a shot over the top, almost a back A, but he didn't pull off in time, and then he just simply bounced around in circles. Drawing circles on the map almost around his opponent in the end. Lovely bouncing and lovely shotgunning from Dyslexic. And surprising, actually, his KD was a bit worse for wear earlier, but now he's 7-13. But it doesn't seem like it, does it? You know, the rest of the United team are just pulling their weight and then some. And Powerz going off with the snipe and the Marxa collection, of course, straight away from United. It really doesn't need everyone performing out of their socks right now for United to be in such a comfortable position round-wise.
Fair enough. 4-2. Disables already coming out. Crazy early, but that's okay. How aggressive is United? I think they're going to be even more aggressive than they've ever been off of this round because the pressure is already on and mounted up for Team Queso. They can maybe capitalize off of that, capitalize off of potential. I mean, look at that already. 2 downs. Powerz wanted a bit more, didn't he? But unfortunately, he's been put in check by player 8 of Sleeafer. So good job from Sleeafer doing that. But TJ manages to get away. Sniper in hand. 1 shot already down. That's problems dying off. line up the shot onto another. That's a good body. Who's there to capitalize? Nobody. DJ's down. Powerz has to be the hero now.
Yeah, that's the snipe gone. Powerz in his own without that weapon. Demise, meanwhile, is going really aggressive on the other side of the map. We'll find one and trade out. Powerz back to his point of view. 1v1 situation. Lovely cover usage. Has right hand, keeping his distance. A little bit of a pinch coming his way, but doesn't matter. Easily dispatches of Cristalize. It's almost like the Matrix now at this point. As more soldiers approach him, and he's just like, nope, I'm still reaction showing around corners, still outputting maximum damage. No threat is coming my way. TJ off spawn now.
Just watching eUnited play, it's pretty special at the moment. And the reason why, the movement of each player, more specifically TJ, well, I mean, not even more specifically, I think all four of them, the way they're moving so quick, Toby, I gotta say, they're probably moving quicker now than I've ever seen them move. Like, their head is on a swivel. I don't know if they're taking this match personally, but like, they're definitely taking it seriously. And it is showing just from their own, like, viewpoint, their perspective that we get to watch.
Yeah, I'm more confident on TG that they're not playing down to Team Queso than, say, on Ritual, actually. It might be really aggressive, but it's just, I think it's more the cutthroat nature of the initials. Wow. Speaking of shotgun battles, SuMuNs was really well, played that really well, actually, on that corner. Completely outplayed Dyslexic. It seemed like read him like a book. But yeah, I mean, eUnited, you said, you know, head on a swivel kind of thing. Yeah, I think they're just playing out of their minds right now, eUnited. Dyslexic, I criticized his KD perhaps a little bit earlier, but it's more so just a team just working so well together that they seem more relaxed individually in many ways mentally, but physically they're clearly going 100 miles an hour nonetheless.
Big push from eUnited down that narrow alleyway. They managed to at least break through for the time being. Team Queso now trying to get just as much team damage as possible. Problems love the confident push. Unfortunately, he will fall to the wayside in just the nick of time for Powerz to get onto F and get the decaps. Look at the scoreline. So close, neck and neck. Opportunity for eUnited to win 5-2 outright, but Team Queso not backing down as they should. I mean, as they shouldn't. They do at least hold on to their own home hill, and I believe if this hill is decapped relatively quickly and capped shortly, eUnited still has the win condition, but Sleeafer is giving them a tough time.
That he is. Dyslexic flying at him. Sleeafer can barely respond and get his literal aim on time to his opponent. Demise trying to close the gap, not able to connect. Dyslexic still down score-wise, leaning towards the way of Team Queso as their lead does continue to extend. 10 seconds left on the scoreline. The cap is going to be fortified there again.
There it is. Well done. Team Queso holds on tight. And they will bring it to a round 8. And both disables are gone, Toby. So now power weapons might be placed. I don't think we get another power weapon. If anything, they add something to the Marksa.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's see, though. 4-3 it is a little bit surprising, I have to admit. Round score-wise, for Team Queso to be as close as they are now. Decisions, clearly, for Team Queso. To Crystallize wraps around with the placement. Boltok across. Powerz, I mean, just add to the snipe, why not, at this point? With how confidently they've been winning it time and time again. It's almost like Clock Tower, right? Back to our original discussion of exploits, getting it earlier in the series, or in an earlier series, excuse me, every single round without much contention. Powerz much the same now, and eUnited can kind of just go all in on that point, knowing they have a huge advantage there.
I'm just honestly impressed with how quick, or should be how long these rounds have been. I mean, it has been a convincing battle. Outside of rounds 1 and round 2, every other round has been well over a minute, or 2 minutes, excuse me. And that just comes to show you how really close these two rosters are. And I think it speaks more for Team Queso than anything, because they've, pretty much lost round or map 1 and map 2 in a relatively convincing fashion. So I love that Team Queso is still fighting tooth and nail, and they want to keep this series alive. And I love that composure, and I just love that overall grit in general. Dyslexic down, nice push from SuMuNs. Now he's got to focus his attention onto the two players from eUnited pushing up to him. Good body shot, but DJ doesn't fall. Powerz closes it and takes him down, and now I think that's going to be all she wrote, Toby.
I think that's it. Oh my. And Team Queso just won the initial for the first time down bottom, 3 seconds of the clock. They're trying to reach his problems. Not going to happen. eUnited moving much too quickly, both in the map and in the series. boy, oh boy, what a performance it was from eUnited, and a really impressive one, actually, as we kickstart their campaign. This split, eUnited Powerz, no doubt going to be your MVP for that one. 28-9. 28k damage, pretty much 29k, and some great headshots.
That's crazy.
Powerz is very much here to play, folks, in this split, and so is eUnited.
Man, that's awesome. Like, to see Powerz, because even going back to the previous map, Powerz went 5-1. Granted, that was a 6-0 victory, so that's not too bad at all. But on Ritual, I was complimenting him as the top KD, at least 16, 9, and 14. So through and through, Powerz consistently definitely held his own. So the standout players today as a whole, right? Identiv's definitely one of the standout players. Powerz, clearly a standout player. And then on the opposite end for Rebel, I guess it would be either Crack or Exploits. I mean, they played absolutely out of their mind. But for Powerz, though, to go 28-9, that shows to me, Toby, he's taking each and every map and each and every series seriously. We've only seen one from eUnited's perspective, but with this being the final split, with the eUnited getting second place 2 majors in a row, Toby, Powerz wants a championship, and he's showing that.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can safely call that now, right? And his sniping is still on point. He's still clearly as clinical as he was back in the major. Look at that for a headshot. What a great slow-mo that is. Shout out to UMG there. And then Sleeafer, of course, breaking that one to win the round. Really great performance from Sleeafer, generally speaking, right, on TG and Ritual, and I guess the series overall, because it's quite something, actually, to do what he was doing to eUnited of all. Even if it was for brief moments. Powerz, look at this for some sniping action. As I was saying, just clinical, right? That break, I guess, if you want to describe it as that. Certainly hasn't been much of a break for Powerz. He's clearly still been working away on the joystick, still as on fire as usual. Everything's working for him and the roster of eUnited.
Everything indeed. Incredible performance from eUnited as a whole. And a good recovery from Team Queso. If I had to give any positive takeaway, Team Queso did come back and played very well on Map 3, but Map 1 and Map 2 just simply got away from them, especially Ephyra, something they're going to have to, without a doubt, go back to the drawing board on, because that simply just isn't working. Might even turn into an auto ban for them, depending on how they improve throughout. I respect them picking Ritual against a United Map 1, but it just wasn't the play this time around. It almost was, though. I mean, to give credit where credit is due, it almost was, but at a certain point, eUnited, when they turned up the heat, there was no comparison between the two rosters, and they only got, what, like 10 or so points once eUnited actually started getting their feet underneath them. But, Toby, dominant performance from eUnited, and they will round out the night as victors.
I'm curious as well if Team Queso brought their same kind of performance tonight, but on 3 different maps, how they'd fare. Because, honestly, on paper, eUnited, those first 3 maps, I think is probably the best lineup eUnited could possibly have. Yes, they had some really good performances on Vazgar in the major against KCP and Rise. Yeah, sure. But historically, TG has been perhaps their more favored map, I want to say. You know? Maybe they have more strats on the behind them for that one in a kind of Pro League performance kind of style. And so given that, those first 3 maps in general were just unreal picks for eUnited. Yeah. So, yeah, a bit more credit to Team Queso, I guess, in their gameplay and the recovery. Maybe less so in allowing the maps to fall as they may.
Well, we've seen some great gameplay today, but honestly, what takes the cake for me is most impactful and impressive play for the entire night. Well, it's got to be Identiv's playing against Fury 1 on Ephyra execution. He will earn your eSwap X Pro Controller Play of the Day. Toby, walk me through it.
Textbook tries to get the stick as soon as he can with the power weapon, knows he needs to be quick though, and so he switches to a shotgun, again, that awesome back A off the pillar, and now, little bit of damage allows him to go wide. He doesn't need to do anything too drastic, but immediately, as soon as that threat comes in of Ventry closing the gap and trying to equalize the damage with a gib of his own, he whips out his shotgun. Look how quick this is. As soon as Ventry peeks out, boom, I'm going to bounce and get the shotgun out. And I'm keeping my distance and immediately hitting that shot right through the center of his camera. And that back A again is just absolutely gorgeous. You know how difficult that is to pull off, Taylor? You literally have to whip your character round the left and shoot instantly. You know, it might be a little bit easier if his character was lined up and he was aiming on through the right side, but he wasn't. He had to turn around on the left. And so basically, I mean, that says it all, right? I think he definitely earned that play of the day. And very happy for Identives overall because he had a stunning match in his first match, league match of the split with his new team.
I know, and he seems as if he's reinvigorated. He's clearly got the confidence. He's playing alongside Dezo. He's back on Pittsburgh Knights, and he's more confident than he's ever been. And it clearly shows with that eSwap X Pro Controller play today, which, mind you, was the most impactful clutch because that then put Pittsburgh Knights into a round 10 or 11, but ultimately resulted in Pittsburgh Knights getting the victory. And it was a round 11 that forced, and then ultimately PK won. And, well, the rest was history. Pittsburgh Knights ended up getting the victory in the series. We had a lot of matches take place today. Got to be honest with you, a lot of them weren't surprising, but one does stand out to me, Toby. One we didn't get a chance to see. KCP versus Digital Slayers that went the distance, map 5.
Yeah, when you touched upon that during a break, I was mind blown actually. I mean, how does that happen? KCP had a very disappointing major in many ways, right? How they went out. Admittedly, it was eUnited playing out their socks, many would argue, but yeah, to drop that many maps against Digital Slayers, KCP, perhaps a little bit of criticism there. You know, they lost Jackal. Perhaps we were alluding to that would hamper their performance and their commitment to practice in many ways in the previous split. I hope that's kind of not a similar theme going on here, and I hope they kind of perform a little bit better going forward in Pro League.
Absolutely. Kansas City Pioneers have had their struggles, you know, they've, especially when it comes to just regular Pro League, but we'll see how well they do tomorrow. But as far as the standings go, we've got 3 teams, eUnited, Pittsburgh Knights, and Rise, all deadlocked for first place. And the reason why is they 3-0 their opponents, so they've got 100% map win percentage, but still 2 teams who are 1-0. Obviously, I'm talking about Rebel and I'm talking about Pioneers, but again, map win percentage comes into play since they're all tied. But for Digital Slayers, Casa de Papel, Fury One, Northern Forces, and Team Queso, they are all tied for last place, right? 0 and 1. Map win percentage, of course, still has a factor in that decision. But Toby, it was an incredible day, and you're going to be on tomorrow casting with Colin, so let's get a sneak peek on the matches you'll be casting tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, we start off Northern Forces versus Pioneers. Actually, really, speak of the devil. I'm curious to see how KCP do tomorrow. Hopefully they are prepared and they have a good night's sleep after perhaps a disappointing performance today. Fury 1 against eUnited. We saw F1 earlier. Pretty good, but eUnited absolutely the favorite for that one. Rise and Rebel. Hope to get the first glimpse of Rise actually on broadcast tomorrow after their amazing major win, which evidently meant so much to them. Fantastic showing it was, wasn't it? Digital Slayers versus PK. Curious to see how Digital Slayers actually do against PK there, of course. Was the 2 maps against KCP a fluke, or were they actually that good? Going to split Team Queso versus Casa de Papel at 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, some good moments from both teams, and a very close match I think that could be between those two.
Yeah, and Team Queso and Casa de Papel at the bottom is also impactful because those are 2 rosters that have yet to get a win. Granted, there's only been 1 day, so when I say have yet to get a win, it sounds more serious than it is. But that head-to-head, that series in general could very well be the difference between, you know, the standings maybe on the lower end, depending on how well they improve as the split goes along. But today was a fun day. Toby, I'm actually seriously impressed with, granted, no game 5s, but we got some great moments in pretty much every single series we had. We did. Players turned up, safe to say, right? Powerz and Identives being the clear ones there, but even Crack, for example, from Rebel, I was, praising from the get-go. From the very first map of District, that whole team seemed to be working really well together, suggesting that Monkeys and the new roster change has slotted in, and everyone's adapted and very happy with how things are going so far. eUnited, business as usual. And to highlight eUnited and his eSwap controller play of the day, I think that was truly special and a special performance overall for Identives. And I'm personally happy for him because I think he deserves it, given his commitment to the game and being a long-term, star of the LATAM scene. He's still very much got it, Taylor, and perhaps he's got something to prove now in the closing moments and going into this final split of Gears Esports here. Could have said it better myself, Toby. Ident is a special player, and I think for the majority, really for all our pros, this split is special and does matter to them. Again, I think we saw the best of the best come out of each and every roster. Even if they were taking L's, they were still playing their heart out. And I love to see that. I really do. And even represented from Team Queso, that map 3 was relatively close, despite the first 2 maps going not their way. They could have beat themselves up, but no, they tried, and they really genuinely wanted to turn the series around. They just simply couldn't. It's been a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit that follow button if you have not already, because Gears Pro League is going to be back again tomorrow, 5 Eastern. We would love to have you. Toby's going to be back casting alongside Colin the Crow Clark, but all good things must come to an end, and this is one of those good things. For myself, Taylor Reflections Noble, Toby Campbell, our production team, and you in chat, thank you once again for being here. Be back again tomorrow for Gears Pro League Day 2 Split 4. We'd love to have you again.